Hi, I just wanted to share my setup on Rafa that I've been having a ton of fun with since launch. It doesn't one-tap boss or anything, however it does have, in my opinion, the best of all worlds. It's got amazing speed, solid survivability, and passable damage, all while gaining that power for pressing just one button. The first thing I want to go over is the skill tree. So starting in the red tree, while leveling I did use the gun damage nodes, however it's probably perfectly fine to level with the fire rate instead. Next would be the action skill duration refresh node. This is mandatory and we'll go over why when we get to the class mod later. Next up is going to be damage reduction. This is pretty much a no-brainer. Now the branches, I do think it's up to personal preference for which to take first. However, I did go with vitriol for the corrosive damage on something like a hot slugger or a Jacob's shotgun. Following up after that, I went for the 1-4 split. You need in total 5 points to move on, and you do need 1 here, so the 4-5 split is just the way to go. After the 4-5 split, you'll take your 3 points in Inspirato. This is essentially mandatory. It gives you enough duration rate scaling to counteract your Bullet Buddy Deluxe. Finally, this point is not necessarily needed. You could skip it if you wanted to. However, I've just been running it this whole time, and I've been enjoying the uptime. For the right branch, you go with splash damage. This works on all of your Torg stickies as well as something like the hot slugger where it is a splash damage weapon. Next you have a choice between gun damage and movement speed. I went for movement speed. You could technically split them up if you wanted to, however I just wanted the maximum movement speed possible. And finally, until you get a class mod, this will be a mandatory point. You will be spending a point here. However, once you do get a good enough class mod that has your duration and this node, you can save a point. Finally, for your last 9 to 10 points, you can split those up between fire rate and movement speed across these two nodes. Once you get, again, a good enough class mod, you'll be able to 5 out of 5 both of these, and it's just quality of life from there. The key here is getting a Dancer class item mod with the explicit role 45% action skill duration. This paired with Inspirato and your 15% recovery on crit gives you infinite duration as long as you have something to hit. With that said, even with Gun Buddy Deluxe running, if you have this setup, you will be infinite duration. Now the augment you run is Bullet Buddy Deluxe. It allows you to gain 8 seconds of infinite ammo after you press your ability, and then after that 8 seconds is over, if you hit your action skill again, it gives you another 8 seconds. The big thing here to abuse is going to be Torg sticky grenades, or really any low mag, high damage types of weapons. So Jacob's pistols with Torg sticky grenades, kaoson, the Balor Jacob's shotgun is really nice early game. And then if you really hate yourself, you can do the noisy cricket. Now past that, the kaoson that I recommend is going to be Beam Team. It hits very often, which procs your Siphon all the time. Gives you a lot of tankiness as well as just triple status effects from Shock, Corrosive, and Incendiary. And then speaking of shield, the mandatory mod is Siphon. You can really pick any legendary base you choose. There's Pandoran Memento if you want to be tanky, Watts for dinner if you want shock damage, and then Super Soldier if you want fire rate, move speed, and ammo regen. And aside from the shield, the last piece of gear that I'd really recommend would be a mini triple bypass. Mini is the prefix that lowers the cooldown recovery rate. Accelerator is just a nice bonus to have, but it's not necessary. This rep kit, along with this specialization now with caffeine, those two pieces alone give you essentially instant recovery of your ability. The rest of the specializations don't really matter too much. I'm essentially just going for some more status effect chance, action skill crit, so that if it hits a body shot, it will still recover my CDR, and then just free 4% more damage, 3 to 4% more damage, depending on what weapon I'm using. For enhancements, the stats you're looking for are going to be gun fire rate and gun critical damage. You just take whatever implicit you're going to be using on whatever weapon setup at the time, and then those two stats. The third one is just whatever. Now, the elephant in the room, I am using the crit knife. However, it is entirely not needed. When this gets nerfed, you can remove from build and nothing will change. The only thing you have to adjust is you have to change to a Buster class mod. This skill, Awe, gives you automatic crits against something that is shocked, which will be all the time. Once you have this class mod, if the knife gets nerfed, you just switch to this class mod instead of Dancer. You will go slower, you'll have less fire rate, you'll deal less damage, but you gain back your ordnance slot, and you no longer have to run the crit knife, assuming it gets nerfed. In terms of weapons, I really don't have too many recommendations, unfortunately. At this point, I don't know too much. I haven't spent a ton of time going through weapon reviews and stuff like that. I've just been playing the game too much. I use Hot Slugger for ad clearing for 99% of the time. When I'm doing a boss, I just use a kaoson of various elements. I'm still farming for corrosive and radiation. Maybe I'll get them, who knows. Other fun guns are going to be Rainbow Vomit. You could go with the shotgun, the alt-fire shotgun route if you wanted to do amp damage and all that stuff, but I have not messed around with that. If you want fun ad clearing guns, this is going to be a fun one. Anything with Jacobs and Torg, you bypass the fire, or you bypass the low mag problems of Jacobs with your ability, and you just spam Torg rockets everywhere, essentially. That goes for pistols and shotguns. That's all for the build. I'll leave you with a Volt Run from start to finish just to get a general idea of the speed and the damage, and if you do have any questions, just ask below and I'll do my best to answer. The sources for all the legendaries talked about are going to be in the description. I hope you have fun with the setup. Peace.